Hey everyone, I'm Mindy from CuteGirlsHairstyles and welcome back to Mom Minute. Today I picked a question that is really important to both me and my family. Emily Browning asks, can you share what the adoption process is like? This question for me is so crazy comprehensive. I could talk for hours and hours and hours about adoption. But let me just start off by saying that adoption is probably one of the single most impactful things that has happened in my life. It really has changed my family and my life for the better overall. It's been a really beautiful experience that we have thoroughly enjoyed. The second thing I'm going to share about adoption is that it's totally different depending on the person. It's kind of like if you ask a bunch of women in the room to all talk about giving birth, you're going to get a completely different story no matter who you ask. The adoption situation, same thing. Everyone's experience is going to be a little bit different. Nobody's going to have an exact same experience from what I had. So people often ask us, is an adoption experience expensive? And the short answer is that yes, it can be. The good news is there's a lot of tax benefits people don't know about that help offset some of the cost. The other good news is that if you start really thinking about where your money's going, it helps you kind of get past that hurdle, that monetary hurdle. So I ask people often how much did you spend on your last car? Because a car, is an expensive item. It's something that you purchase. It's a big ticket item. And that's about what you're going to probably spend on an adoption. But instead of getting a vehicle that depreciates over time, you're actually going to get a human being that's this amazing thing and going to provide all of these amazing memories and experiences for you. Once you've decided to adopt, the first decision you're going to have to make is whether to do a domestic adoption or an international adoption. And they're both really different. So for our family, we of course chose domestic adoption. We felt like there were enough babies that needed homes within the United States, and it was just easier. We just didn't want to deal with all the international travel and all of that stuff. But I have many friends that do international adoption and have had fantastic experiences with that as well. Once you've decided whether to go domestic or international, you're going to have to complete what's called a home study. Now, a home study is the entire process, all the paperwork, talking about your financials. You'll have somebody come to your house and look over to make sure that it's baby safe. You'll have to provide your fingerprints to the FBI to make sure that you're not some child abductor or something crazy. You have to go through this whole paperwork process, and it takes several months, so don't get discouraged by that. It really does take a little while to get all of your paperwork in and the state to certify that yes, you are a good family to place a baby with and you are actually approved for an adoption. Once your home study is completed, then you're in the active adoptive family pool. And this is where you start to sort of weed through and figure out where your match preferences are. You'll be asked questions like, would you take a special needs baby? Would you take a baby that's not the same race as you? Those kinds of questions. Are you looking for a specific gender? And they'll be also asking the birth moms the same questions. What they try to do is find a good match. They find a birth mom who answers the questions similarly to you, and they find a family, and then you guys match up. And then what they do is they bring you the paperwork and they say, we have this mom who sort of fits your questions. Look over this paperwork and see if you're comfortable with this mom. At the same time, they'll be asking the mother those questions as well. Once the agency finds a good match between an adoptive family and a birth mom, then they try to have you usually meet together if possible. So one of our birth moms was nearby and we got to meet her in person, and the other one lived farther away across country, and so we didn't get to meet her. But we talked to her on the phone extensively before we officially approved the match. And the agency will walk through all of this with you. They'll help you through the entire process. But basically, you just kind of get to know each other, get a feel for each other, and then you both get the opportunity to say, yes, this is my family, or yes, this is our birth mom. And then you're considered an official match. Once you've been matched, the next step is placement. And this is when you will actually physically go take possession of the baby. Now, this totally varies from adoption to adoption. With our placements, one of our babies, we got to be at the hospital when he was born, which was amazing. And this is sort of more up to the birth mom than it is to the adoptive family. It's where her comfort zone is. With both of our birth moms, they were very comfortable with us, and that was a huge blessing for me. I got to be there when my son was delivered. I actually cut his cord. It was a really unique, special experience. My daughter, on the other hand, her birth mom was across the country, so when she went into labor, we jumped on a plane, but by the time we got there, the delivery was done and over, but we got to be at the hospital and spend some time with the mom there and spend time with the baby in the hospital before she was released to us. But different placements are going to be very, very varying. Yeah, I've heard of people who get their babies a couple months after they're born. I've heard of people that are there at the delivery, and I've heard of people that never meet their birth moms. That's where all of the variables play in, and your experience is going to be unique to you. Once you have the baby in your possession, most states have a waiting period before you can go to the courthouse and have the judge certify that the baby is yours. Now, this doesn't mean the baby isn't yours before this point, because the birth mom at this point has already signed off all of her rights. It's just the state's way of making sure that everyone is bonding in those 6 months, that the baby is thriving, that everyone's healthy, and in that time they usually have a caseworker come into your home a couple times and follow up just to make sure everything's looking really good. And then you can go and meet with the judge and you get the official sign off, the baby is yours, and you get to just love and cherish that baby from that point on. While the adoption experience can certainly be stressful, it's definitely the most rewarding thing that my family has ever experienced. If you're interested in more specific details about my son's adoption experience, I actually have a post written up about it. You can find the link in the description box below and read all about it there. Are you adopted or considering an adoption? I would love to hear all about your experiences as well. Make sure and leave a comment below or tweet me at #TheMomsView, #MomMinute. Subscribe for more episodes, and I will see you guys next week. Bye! Now you guys know I have 6 kids, and I love spending time with my family, and I think it's very, very important. But I'm not naive enough to think that as my teenagers get older, they're not gonna wanna go hang out with their friends, and I know that finding that perfect balance can be very, very difficult. So let's talk about it.